Drawing down the air for start.
Hey, what is up guys, it's One of Nine here from One of Nine TV, and today I'm bringing you some Tier 6 skirms that I played with my clan CMRDE a few weeks ago. So this first map we are opening up on is Ghost Town, and as you can see our lineup is 5 Cromwells, a Cromwell B, a Type 64 played by me, and we're playing against a team that's playing with a pair of Cromwells, a Cromwell B, a T-3485, a pair of 3485Ms, they have a slight distinct difference, and a VK-3001P. So there's no scout on their team, and the 85Ms are basically an 85, but they have 75mm of frontal hull armor instead of 40. Other than that, they're exactly the same tank. So right now my initial plan is I'm going to stick 2 Cromwells up on the hill in A4 to watch over the cap. Everybody else, we are going to go head down to D1 and prepare to start pushing their base. Right now I'm assuming that they're going to be doing a hard camp as they don't have a scout. So I'm putting my team into position to counter that hard camp. I'm getting ready. We're going to push down the 1-2 line in a little bit, and I have a couple people there to watch the cap. I've actually decided that we don't need 2 people there. I've pulled somebody back, and here you go. We got our first contact. It's a VK-3001P, which is kind of weird because you would think that the Cromwells would be a much better scout than the slow VK, and as you can see right there, I'm able to fire. Admittedly, it's at the extent of the view range, but I damaged the VK-3001P, and I don't get spotted in return, and I didn't spot any enemy tanks over here, so that leaves me to believe that there is nobody on this flank, and I can push these 5 tanks up and get a much more forward position with Overwatch into their base. Now we've taken a much more forward position, and I let those guys take that ridge to the right of me, and we've basically extended our view range all the way down to their base from here. We have one guy in the north to keep the view range and map control in the north, which is very important in Tier 6 skirms. And there we go, I spot a 3485M, and I tell everybody to light them up if you can. I pull back behind the bushes so I can't get spotted through them, and I fire. Unfortunately, because I was firing standard rounds, it's an M version. I bounced, but I switched to the premium, and unfortunately I think I hit this turret mantlet. But we end up taking him out with very little loss to ourselves. As you can see also in Skirmishes you have an RD strike. So I think about dropping it on him, and I do. And now we wait for that to drop, and then I was about to push in, and then we spot all the Cromwells, which this clan made a pretty stupid decision. You have a bunch of Cromwells, you have a fast flanking force, that you shouldn't leave a Cromwell just sitting at the back of the map. Now what I did here is I sent our Cromwell into the center of the map. He spots the VK-3001P and a T-3485, while I'm sending the rest of the team to focus down these guys in the hill. First, they're going to take out those standard Cromwell. At least that was the plan, and there he goes. And now we're going to focus down the Cromwell B. And I'm really hoping the team would push up with me here. And there we go, we take him out. Now I'm like, okay, they sent one of the Cromwells all the way around to cap. And I was thinking about going back to defend the base and get the reset. But in the end, I decided it's a much smarter decision in skirms to take the guaranteed win and not risk it for getting that extra kill or that little bit of damage. So I decided to send 3 people onto the cap. Everybody else engage the guys in the city, and if they want to win, they're going to have to pull the guy off the cap. We're forcing their hand. And I get another shot into T-3485, and he goes down. I do kind of wish the team wasn't always ramming the enemy tanks, because sometimes you lose so much health doing that, especially ramming 85s with a Cromwell, that it really isn't worth it. Like, you could use that 300 health you've lost later in the game, and you would take only 180 in a shot from him. So why don't you just shoot him and kill him? But then we won the game, so I guess it doesn't really matter, and it was a pretty clean victory, 6-1, only 1 tank lost. So now we're rolling out onto the next map, which is Himmelsdorf, and right now my plan is I'm going to stick 3 tanks in G3, the other 3 tanks, in J2, and I'm going to go scout the rail yard. And this way we're going to keep a decent amount of map control. Basically we can cover our base, and we can also cover the most wide open area, which is where our tanks are going to be most effective. Now unfortunately here there's a bit of miscommunication, or just people just not listening, because all of a sudden everybody turns right and follows me, even though I specifically told people I want 3 people up in G3, the other 3 in J2. So we do need to work on that. Our team needs to get our communication better, and I was fairly certain I was pretty clear on where I wanted my tanks. Maybe they just didn't hear me, maybe my voice cut out during it, I don't know. But we're trying to sort that out, and this is a problem. If you're playing against a good clan and you're trying to sort out a communication issue in-game, you will get absolutely trounced. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to run with it. So I'd say, okay, we haven't spotted anything. Let's get ready to start pushing up the 1-2 line on the rails and take the fight to the enemy tanks. Now here we are pushing up. We spot a bunch of enemy tanks on that corner, and I'm waiting for my arty strike to go up before I even think about pushing. And I'm thinking about dropping it on him. I decide not to, and I wait for a better target to show up. All of a sudden, a bunch of enemy tanks get spotted again, and I'm like, I should probably drop the arty on him. So I tried to. Unfortunately, I think my entire arty strike's gonna miss, but I start popping shots into him. Unfortunately, there's still a Cromwell and a Cromwell Berlin kind of hanging back in the back, and I wish they had actually pushed up with me. I understand there's a Type 64 to our right flank, but at this time, we've got an overmatch up here, 7 against 5. 7 against 4 now, because we spotted the VK3001P, and we should be taking this overmatch. And as you can see, in a few later games, I started getting a little bit annoyed at people like ignoring the call and making their own decisions, because in skirms, even as a Legionnaire, basically, you're playing in somebody else's house, so it's their house, their rules. So whatever the caller says goes. It doesn't matter whether you agree with it or not. The only time to disagree with the call is late in the game. And right now, as you can see, I'm a bit frustrated because we have 2 tanks engaging 2 enemy tanks in the south when we could really use the extra firepower up north, and I died because of that. And it would have been so much quicker this game had we had those 2 tanks up in the north where I wanted them, and we would have absolutely annihilated those 3-4 tanks that were up there. Then we could have just swept south, taken out the VK3001P and the Type 64. Yeah, I'm sorry about the language in the chat. I was a little bit pissed off. But I stick 2 people on cap. Same thing we did the first game of the night. And we basically force their hand. If they want to win, the guy has to come off cap. And unfortunately for him, he doesn't realize it. And this clan, we play to win, so we're going to do whatever it takes to get the win here. So I send 2 people back to reset, and he's just sitting on cap. He knows he can't win this game. It's 5 against 1. I don't know what this guy was doing, but it doesn't matter. We got the resets off and killed the Type 64 for a 7-2 victory. All in all, pretty clean despite the problems. Alright, so now we're rolling out on Ghost Town again. We're up against a clan of 4 Cromwells and 3 3485Ms. So we're basically going to do the mirror of what we did in the first game of the night. And we're going to stick 1 person on the hill. Instead of A4, it's going to be K4. And everybody else is going to go to G1 or an F1. We're going to take that area there. And we're going to extend our map control for a little bit. And then we're going to slowly see where the enemy tanks are. And we're going to force their hand. Now, again, nobody should be going over the hill. Unfortunately, I've tried explaining this several times. People just go over the hill anyways, don't know what to do about it. And unfortunately there, somebody lost a whole bunch of health going over the hill, and that is why you don't do that. Besides the fact that it's being slow, you're taking unnecessary risks to lose health if you accidentally drive off a cliff. And now here you can see I'm trying to scout out. That's what we got a Type 64 for. That's why you should bring a scout into skirms. And this guy just blatantly disregards what I'm saying and starts pushing forward, which is a bit of an issue, which means basically, the rest of us, we need to start pushing up to support him, otherwise he's going to die for nothing. So I say, alright, if this guy's going to be an idiot and push, we're going to push with him. I believe that was one of our Legionnaires, and I don't believe I'm going to ever invite him back because him and the other 2 Legionnaires that we were playing with had a bit of a problem with following orders. Now we spot the 3485M, and we've got 7 Cromwells and a Type 64. Each one of these tanks has 2500, 2600 DPM. So I'm like, we just gotta rush him. So I tell everybody to rush him. It's a little bit slow on the uptake, and I'm the only one in, and that's probably because, like, I'm obviously going to be the first one to know what I'm doing, because after I give the order, people still have to react. When I give the order, I'm already ready to do it. So I bring up my arty strike, try and drop it on the 2 Cromwells. Right now I'm just trying to get it out, because I feel like I have a pretty good chance of going down, and you get a plus 10% bonus to your industrial resource after a game if you use your artillery strike. And now I want everybody to push. Unfortunately, I believe there were still 2 Cromwells that stayed back on the hill. I do believe none of those were actually in our clan, they were legionnaires, but I asked everybody to push the hill. This is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to push the hill when your caller asks for it, if you're going to be a legionnaire in another team's game, or you're playing with your clan. And right now, I'm the only one really pushing the hill. Some people are flanking the hill. I didn't ask for a flank on the hill. I want to just straight push up the hill. But it works out. We're up 5-0. And unfortunately, I get one more shot out, and then I'm the lowest health tank there, so they focused me down. But we end up losing one other Cromwell. But the game, it works out great. We're up 6-3, and I do actually appreciate this. Our Cromwell Berlin yeets the guy off the hill, and that leads us out to a 7-3 victory. Alright, now on to the next game. We're against a KV-85 Cromwell Sherman Jumbo, T-30-45M, a pair of VK-30-1Ps, and a Skoda T-25. Again, no scout, so I figure, okay, we're going to take the village, which is the, a lot of people call it like the Delta Village. That's what we're going to take. We're going to take and hold that position there. And we're going to see where we can spot the enemy tanks and hopefully take them out pretty easily at range, because they don't have any tanks that have good view range, and we're all fast, mobile, and we have a scout, which is a big advantage in this game. So I spread out, and I'm the only one who I want pushing forward. Unfortunately, somebody pushes up to the next row of buildings. They don't get killed, so it's not a big deal, but I really didn't want that to happen. As I said, don't push forward. I was the only one I wanted to push forward, because I was going to hop forward into a bush and put up my binocs, and I can basically spot everything up to this cap. And as you can see, somebody on the clan is yelling at the legionnaire to stay put. And yep, I'm trying to scout these things. I do believe they don't block your view range. I'm not entirely certain, but I don't spot anything. So that leads me to believe that they're much further back. And now, as you can see, I'm pinging the map because I want to push down the 0 line in this little trench to the left of the road. That way, we can basically get right up on their base and sneak up on the enemy team. Alright, now I'm pushing down the road, and here we go. Everybody's following me. It didn't take too long for that order to go out, which was nice. And now basically, as you can see, there's a whole line of bushes, and we pretty much are invisible for all intents and purposes, unless there was somebody down in one of these bushes down here. But there wasn't, and we had 7 Cromwells, so if there was, we were just going to absolutely annihilate them. Now again, I try and set up my binocs in this bush, see if I spot anything, and I'm basically just waiting for everybody to get here, because my next plan is we're going to push straight down the K line and into their base. So everybody's getting here. I say, okay, it's time to push, and here we go. I check behind me because I want to make sure I'm not pushing in way in front of them, because I do have a I'm pretty squishy, easy to kill in this tank. And I push down, and I'm about to spot the enemy tanks, and the first thing I'm going to spot is Cromwell right there. So now I say, okay, everybody push these tanks. And right now we see the Sherman Jumbo, the VK-30-1P, the KV-85, they're all down in like K2. I say, ignore them. Unfortunately, somebody on our team gets flipped. I try and RD the 2 of them, and everybody's supposed to be pushing down to go catch out this Cromwell. We finally get that tank unflipped, which is good. But we have our 2 legionnaires who just basically say screw through the order and literally just sit there. And this is not what you can do, because I wanted everybody to push. If we pushed everybody down that line, those Cromwell and the Skoda, they would have been gone so fast. Then we could have mopped up this VK-31P, the 3485M, and then gone down the line, killing all the rest of the tanks. And right now we're in the lead, but these 2 tanks are out of the fight, and that is the biggest issue right now. And as you can see, I'm getting really annoyed at them, because right now they are costing us this game. If they were in the fight right now, we'd be winning this game. And unfortunately now, instead of just going straight into the enemy, now the person runs around and goes the other way. And this costs us time, because now this tank is out of the fight for longer. If you're going to disregard orders, if somebody's telling you to engage them, just engage them. And now we're starting to lose tanks left and right, and now it's an even game, and they have the more advantageous positions than us. So this game is going downhill, all because 2 people basically just disregarded what I said, and people here are taking hits. And we have 2 tanks that I don't even know what they're doing. They're just kind of running around on their own. So I go to follow him, and right now he should be pushing this VK-30-1P, because the VK-30-1P has a reload that is twice as long, if not more longer, than the Cromwell's reload. So right now, he takes a hit from him, but he's just trading evenly. You don't want to trade your shots evenly. You need to kill those tanks, and right now he just took 3 shots that he didn't need to take. He could have killed that tank, killing 1, and unfortunately now this other Cromwell basically shoves the guy out from cover, and I was the only guy left. And honestly, that Cromwell should have been able to take out the Cromwell and the VK3001P, but now it's just this guy, and he loses, so that's our first defeat of the night, and I was really annoyed at the end of that one. Alright, so now we're on to the next game. We're on Fisherman's Bay. We're against an A43, pair of Cromwells, a Sherman Jumbo, 2 30-45Ms, and a Type 64, one of the first teams to actually bring a scout today. So my plan is that we're all going to push every single tank up into the middle of the map, into that middle village. We're going to completely ignore the city, and if you can take and hold the middle of the map in the skirmish in Tier 6, you control so much of the map, everything is in your favor from then on out. And you can basically push anywhere, you have supporting fire, you just get the map control that you need in a Tier 6 skirm. And I'm going to hop into these bushes here. I can see if I can spot anything. And I'm going to spot something pretty early on. I'm looking down there just to see in case if they run like the Sherman Jumbo, the 85s down into the city. And then there we go, we spot the 30-45Ms, and I say, alright, we got to push these guys, because you see the Type 64s out on the flank. So we just start punishing the 30-45Ms, and we try and take them out. I say, alright, we got to push over to their side. We got to get as many shots into them as possible, and kill as many tanks as quickly as possible, especially because the 3485M and the Sherman Jumbo are isolated from the rest of the team. So here we begin to push the Sherman Jumbo and the T-3485M. I have my RD strike up, and I'm thinking about using it, but I'm going to wait, and for some reason I went to sniper mode for no reason. It took me a while to get out of it. But here we go, we start pushing. I load the gold for the Sherman Jumbo just because, like, you can't pen a Sherman Jumbo from the front without gold. And I start pushing them. Unfortunately, my gold round actually bounces off bounce 2 of them off the 3485, which is not good, and I get rammed by my friendly tanks. But we've taken out 3 tanks at 0 loss to us. Now I go and drop the RD strike. I want to make sure I get it down, and I accidentally rammed somebody because I was in RD strike firing mode. But it didn't actually deal any damage or ruin our chances of getting the kill. Unfortunately, we've lost a tank, but we're now absolutely steamrolling them because we're now up 4-1, 5-1 now, and now it's just literally just 2 tanks left. I get one more shot and then I go down. But the rest of the team's going to clean it up, and I'm alright with ram kills at the end of the game. But there we go. 7-2 victory. Good game to come back on. Now we are playing on the map Cliff against a KV2, KV85, a Cromwell, 3485M, a Skoda T25, an SU100, and a Type 64. So we're going to do what I will always like to do when I have a really fast lineup, is to push down the 1-2 line and then up into the that little ledge right there. I call it the donut. It kind of looks like a donut if you take out the mountain. It's the center of the donut, obviously. But we got to push down, and we're going to kill the first tank that comes around the corner that we spot. Now this one's going to get a bit messy. We need to work on this and make sure we don't spin tanks out. And I probably should have turned a little bit away, but I was trying to get around the corner as quickly as possible, and the Cromwell spun me out. And so we go to town on this Type 64. He takes a lot of damage really early on, but unfortunately because I got spun out, I got focused down hard, so I'm on pretty low health. I still try and get some shots in, but then we get up the hill. And all these tanks that are milling around at the bottom shouldn't be at the bottom of the hill. They should be pushing up, but I think somebody spun another tank out in there, so that's why they're all stuck down there, and there's not much you can do about it. And we spot the SU-100 out in the back of the map, just like we expect, and we absolutely go to town on him. He's the one who shot me earlier, that's why I took so much damage, but we just put a few shots into him, and it's a really, really easy kill. Now, as you can see, I'm trying to get my RD down. I look to see if I can fire it on the Skoda, but he's moving too much. Try and hit the KV2 as he pushes forward. But unfortunately, we've lost a tank, and now we are relatively even. Now we're down, actually. We're down 2-1. Somebody pushes in, kills the Type 64, which is good. And I think about running this way to go around and flank, but I said, no, we need everybody back. So I turn around, and I help the team try and kill these 2 tanks. Now, the KV2's on low health. I think I got him a bit with the RD, but I see the Skoda T25's on really low health, so I make sure I pen him. Unfortunately, I'm firing high explosive, and I didn't realize it. So now it's all about mopping up kills. I know the KV2's on low health, so I gotta take him out. And in retrospect, looking back on this, I should have been using that bush to keep myself from being spotted as I poked forward, because that got me killed. But these 2 tanks that are left are going to put in absolute work. They're in a 3-on-2, but a bunch of the tanks are really low health. They focus down the KV-85, they kill the KV-85, and now it's just the Cromwell that's left. So they push down, get rid of the Cromwell, and they pick up the Skoda T-25 for another victory. A bit closer, but a 7-5 win still isn't too bad. Alright, so the next game we played is on Prokhorovka, and now I'm going to do what I like to do in this map. I like to send a couple of my tanks up to take the hill, and then a few down and to hold the center of the map. That way you can control a large portion of the map. So I'm going to go up to the top of the hill, as I'm the scout, and I can use that top of the hill basically to spot everything in the bottom southeast corner. And I'm going to take a couple of the Cromwells up with me. And of course, the enemy team has a very heavy lineup, and unfortunately I spin somebody out, but they're playing with an OI, a VK3001P, a pair of 3485, no, a Cromwell, a 3485M, a VK3001P, and an SU100 wide box tank with an MT25, which is really not the type of scout you want to be taking. It's not that good at scouting, which is why you need a scout. Type 64 is by far the best scout and damage dealer that you could possibly bring. So, as you can see, obviously, I've split my team up into 2 groups of 3 tanks, and we spot the OI. So, I'm looking to see if we can get a shot into my pop-up, and the first thing we're going to spot is the enemy Cromwell. So I immediately start trying to shoot him, see if we can get some more damage into him. Unfortunately, my second shot misses, and I get super lucky there. I should have been taken out by that OI, but he hits my gun, and those are the breaks that help you in skirms. I drop my arty strike on him. Unfortunately, he manages to take out one of our Cromwells in a one-shot, which is really annoying, but it is what it is. And we start pushing forward. I don't spot anything right away. I spot 3485s. So, we gotta take those guys out. We got people in the center who can get some side shots, but then I'm like, alright, we need to help the center people out. We have an OI caught out in the open. He's gonna easily go down. Obviously, I'm firing gold because it is an OI, and he needs to go down. And then the box tank comes up, and I'm like, oh no, I'm going down. I'm going to go down here. And I keep putting out as much damage as possible, and then he fires high explosive into my tracks. My tracks eat the damage, and I don't die, and I'm able to put enough damage in to enable the team to kill him. Now I tell the guys on the hill we need to get rid of the 2 tanks that are on the reverse slope, so the T-3485s, and actually the Cromwell has now been spotted there again, and we get Amarak. This game has just been RNG constantly, but at some points this is what you need to give yourself a chance of winning. Now this Cromwell here is going to take on this MT25, and he's doing a very good job of it. And he's just going to kind of see what he does. The MT25 knows he's doomed. He tries to hide, at least sucker somebody in. And the Cromwell just says, screw it. I'm going to go over the hill on him. And it works out. I wasn't a fan of it at the time, and I will say that. But in the end, it works out. He ends up killing the MT25, takes absolutely no damage himself, which is good. And then it's just the Cromwell left. And this kind of pissed me off because everybody's just sitting here sniping him. I really wanted everybody to just rush the Cromwell to guarantee the win. But in the end, they actually do get the hits in. Because right now I was getting really annoyed because they just weren't hitting him. But in the end, they finally picked him up. So we ended up winning this game 7-3. And after having lost that game horribly on Ruinberg and switching out a few Legionnaires, we've started doing really well again, picking up victory after victory after victory. Alright, so we're now into our next match, which is on the map Redshire. We're playing against a pair of Sherman Jumbos, a 3485, 3485M, Jackson, and T37. This is a very odd lineup for skirms. It's not flexible. The Sherman Jumbos are just easily beaten by premium rounds, so it's just a really not good lineup. But I'm going to push out and we're just going to see what we can do. Our Cromwell B and me, we had a bit of miscommunication there as we were driving and we run into each other. But in the end, nothing's lost on that. So we have basically doing the same thing I did in Prokhorovka. I'm sending the Cromwells to take this ridge, which controls a large portion of the map. And then I'm sending a group to the left, onto the western side of the map in the castle, basically to be our flank and hold down that position, because that's how you counter the position we're in right now, is by pushing up to the castle. Now I'm going to see what I can spot, and I haven't spotted anything, so I let my binos go up, and haven't spotted anything yet. I'm expecting them to be pushing the castle, but nobody's there. Right now, really don't know where the enemy tanks are. And then there we go. Somebody spots the 3485, and us over here start trying to light him up. Fortunately, we miss, and I finally get a shot into him, but it's not enough to take him down. I really wish the 3 Cromwells could hit him, and I know exactly where he is in the building, and I can't hit him. Then we spot this 3485M, and I start trying to pepper him. Doesn't work. My shot bounces because it was a standard round, and they have enough armor to bounce most standard rounds. Alright, so now it's time to push up. We spot the Sherman Jumbos. This guy's not moving, and this is a big mistake that people make while playing skirms. If you have been spotted, move. Do not sit still, because you are an easy target for artillery if you're sitting still, and all it takes is a couple seconds of sitting still, and you can get absolutely destroyed by arty. Got spun out a little bit there, but it's fine. We didn't actually lose anything because of it. I spot the other Sherman Jumbo, and right now I'm telling the other Cromwell Bs to push down the 1 line and then go take a hook and go right down the A line into the T-3485M. Fortunately, I don't think one of the Cromwells got the memo. I think he wasn't in Discord because it wasn't working for him for some reason. So he didn't know that I wanted him to push, and I forgot to tell him in in-game chat. But it's all good. Everybody starts pushing in now. And unfortunately, they see there's a Jackson there as well. I try and give them some supporting fire by firing through the bushes, but I can't really hit the Jackson where he is. So, it is what it is. Now, they end up losing a tank, but in the end, they're able to take out the 2 tanks up there. And we are just going to start sending these 4 Cromwells here onto the 3 enemy tanks that are there. We take out the T-37, and that's again, don't ram enemy tanks. You took so much damage from ramming that enemy tank, and you wouldn't have died to the M4 Sherman Jumbo, which is a bit of a misplay there. The M4 Sherman takes out another tank, but in the end, we're easily going to get the kill as I set him on fire, and that's another victory for a 7-3 win. Now we're on to the penultimate match of the night, again on Himmelsdorf. We're against 3 T-150s, 2 Cromwells, a Cromwell Berlin, and a Type 64. We're running the exact same lineup we were running all night, full loadout of 6 Cromwells and a light. And I'm going to be very, very clear on where I want everybody to go. This time I'm sending the 2 Cromwell Berlins down to J2, everybody else up to G3, and we're going to hold that position. I'm going to go scout the middle of the map like I normally do, and see what sort of spots I can get up into that B3 area. Already we spot some enemy tanks, and we're dealing damage to them, which is great. And I see if I can sneak a shot into this Cromwell. I do, which is really good. Unfortunately, he sneaks one back into me, and my second shot bounces, so that was a bad trade for me. But all in all, we're working out pretty good. We know exactly where all their tanks are. Eventually, I'm going to send the 2 Cromwell Berlins that are down in J2. I'm going to send them up with me into like the E1 area, D1. That way we can start getting some flanking shots into these Cromwells. And that's a really nice shot there. I think that was manually aimed, and I just fired while I was on the move. And there we go. I'm now sending them up to join me. Right now I make a bit of a misplay. They shoot away the wall in front of me, and I don't realize it. I'm just kind of sitting there, and I'm like, oh crap, I've been spotted, pull back. My arty strikes up, and there we go. We spot the T-150s, so they're pushing up the D line up into the middle of the map. I drop my arty on him, and this arty is going to absolutely go to town on this T-150. This T-150 is not going to exist for a little bit, while longer, and there you go, he's dead. Now I spot the other 2 T-150s, and right here's where there's a little bit of miscommunication, people not understanding what I wanted. I said push up the tracks. Unfortunately, 1 Cromwell hangs back, and 1 Cromwell goes right up the center. So now we're going to be forced into engagement that we don't want to be in. If we could get all our Cromwells to bypass the slow T-150s and go straight through their enemy Cromwells, we'd clean them up so fast. It would be such an easy cleanup. And then we could just go have like a 5-on-2 against the T-150s. Unfortunately, I get taken out by the T-150s because the team was slow to react, and now we're split into 2 groups. We have 3 people taking on the T-150s in a Cromwell B, and 2 people in the cap area, which is where I wanted all 5 tanks that we still had alive to be. Luckily for us, they managed to take out one of the T-150s, and a lone T-150 just doesn't have the damage output to take out anyone. So, we're just they're gonna rush the T-150, and then eventually they're gonna try and go find the Type 64 that was on the cap. And we've already forced their hand. We know he can't win by capping because we've put 2 on cap. they're just going to stay alive, and the two Cromwells who are dealing with the T-150s, they're going to go clean up the Type 64 if they can. But if I remember correctly, he leaves Cap, and then they'd never find him. They have no idea which way he went. He didn't go the direct way back, which is what he would have had to do if he wanted to have a chance of winning the game. He didn't, so nobody knows where he went, but it doesn't matter. We're going to take the win. He couldn't get back in time. So, we fully capped out. Really doesn't matter what way you win in Skirms, as long as you get the win that you need. And right now, we got a 6-3 win. It should have been a lot cleaner if everybody did what I wanted, but again, I will more than happily take a win. Alright, so we're now on to the last game of the night. We're playing on Karelia against a pair of KV-2s, KV-85, 3485, T-50-2, and Type 64. So what my call is for this run is we're all going to rush down the heavy alley and then up onto the ridge there. I unfortunately take the long way around because I spawned really far away from everybody else. I have no idea. The spawns kind of screw you over in the light tanks, especially when you're trying to go into a direction that all the medium tanks are spawned in. But again, we're just going to rush down this way, and normally most of the teams, if they go heavy, they'll stick a bunch of people on that corner, and as you rush up the hill, you can just focus them down. But they didn't do that this game. We spotted absolutely no one, so we just said, alright, we'll take the hill. This is a very good vantage point because you can get shots back towards your base, and you can get shots towards their base, and it's very easy to turn around and just rush to their base or rush back to defend your cap. Now I'm going to go try and scout out the enemy base. There's a couple bushes here that you can stick a light tank in that has maxed out view range, and he will be able to spot them. But he didn't spot anything. There was literally nothing there. So I'm going to leave the position. My RD's up. Like it is 8:55. Everybody's got to remember, if you play Skirms, that's when all your consumables are up. I stay here for a little bit, try and spot him out. Not spotting anything. So, it's a pretty boring game right now. Normally in Skirms, like every other game tonight, it's normally over in 4 or 5 minutes, max. And you normally have your first engagement before your artillery's up. But artillery's not up, we got a couple blind shots coming out. So I've decided, alright, I'm going to leave the Cromwells here, and I'm going to go make sure they aren't sending everybody around to the north. Because, obviously, I don't want to get fast capped out. I've had that happen a few times to me, and that's so annoying and frustrating. And it's nobody's fault except for my own for making the bad call that allowed us to be fast capped. But I'm going to go negate the chances of that happening by coming back through our base, and I'm going to head up into like the E4 area, C4, D3 area, get into that area, and there's a couple bushes there that you can use to spot everything. And I know that with my 5-skill crew, I'll be able to outspot a T-50-2, and it's about a 50-50 who gets spotted first against the type. But I move up this way, and I haven't spotted anything. The team actually spots the Type 64, so I know that my position, if I go this way, is going to be completely safe. So I'm just kind of sitting back like, where's he going to go, where's he going to go? He gets a lot of damage put into him, I believe. I don't remember exactly how much, but I think he got like 400 put into him by our Cromwells up on top of the hill. Now we have a couple Cromwells watching down just in case they start pushing us from the other side, so we don't get rushed up. But now they know where our Cromwells are. And they're going to have to start making adjustments to what we are playing. And they actually had some pretty sneaky ideas that, had I not done what I did, would have been actually worked out really well for them. But because I made this scout run, I managed to spot them before they were able to do it. And I probably confused them because I push up into these bushes over here, right? As you can see, there's a pair of bushes on each side. And I spot the T-50-2 on my way there, but I don't get spotted. So now they're probably very confused because the only intel they have is that somebody's been spotted. They don't know by who or if they got spotted. They're probably going to assume it's a Type 64, but they don't know how much support the Type 64 has because obviously a T-50-2 would outspot a Cromwell. But now that I know that the T-50-2's up there, I say, alright, I'm going to go push my way up into these bushes because Type 64's run away. He's not going to be in a position to scout me out. And if he was, I have Cromwells up on the ridge that can support me and take him out. And I spot him again. And apparently he didn't take damage before, but Yeah, now he kind of took a little bit of damage. Just a bit. Just a bit. I mean, I really wish we could have taken him out, but unfortunately, Cromwells aren't the greatest snipers, and it is what it is. We didn't get him. Doesn't really matter. He took a lot of damage, and we took none in return, which is the most important thing. Now I'm going to push up to these bushes here, because basically I can spot pretty much anything that's on the ridges in the bushes as long as I get my binocs up, and if they move at all, I will spot them, and it doesn't matter. Now, of course, I still haven't spotted their sneaky plan. That could have been really devastating had I not spotted it beforehand, but because I spotted it, it's not going to work out. And here you go, you can see that I'm pinging the map. I want all the Cromwells to move down off the ridge onto that corner, because I know they're camping base. I would have spotted all the heavies out in the west. So, we're getting ready to make a push straight down the 0 line, and we're just going to go right up into it. We're just going to use our DPM to kill all the tanks. I spot the Type 64 again, and I'm waiting. I see he's going to the left, and I try and take him out. He goes unspotted just at the last second as I fire, and the only thing I do is damage his tracks. And I get hit by a 3485, which means that the push down the 09 line is pretty much clear. Because obviously he shot me from like A8, so I know that there's at least only 1, maybe 2 tanks on that side. I spot the KV85, well, I don't spot him. Somebody spots him, and then I see, okay, I can drop my arty on him, and I get a decent amount of damage. Unfortunately, the arty doesn't quite kill him. It leaves him on like 200 health. And then I poke out, and there's their sneaky trap. They have a KV85 sitting in the rocks right there. If he hadn't been spotted beforehand, he would have put so much work in, and he would have been such a good distraction. And there we go. I spot the rest of the team, and the KV2 does what a KV2 does. He takes me out. But we've already killed that KV85 because I spotted him. Therefore, we don't have to turn our tanks around and come and kill him, leaving us out in the open for longer. We can just swarm him and kill him. And I'm like, alright, we need to swarm the next KV85. And on the way in, just keep your guns firing. Just fire at whatever targets you can see. T-3485 goes down. And right now, I'm kind of annoyed because this Type 64 should be dying. You shouldn't be focusing on the KV2. You should be killing the Type 64. And he should have died so much longer ago. He finally goes down, but that's a little bit of wasted time. Now we're focusing down this KV2. He's going to go down really easily. We only lose... So right now we've only lost me. We're already up 4-1. It's just the T-3485 and one of their KV2s and a T-50 left, but the T-50 is being focused down by one of our Cromwells, and he gets taken out. And now it's just the KV2. He's the last tank left alive, and he's going to go down pretty easily because we have 5 Cromwells left alive, and albeit he is a KV2, he's not going to win that fight. So, 7-2 victory for our last game of the night. 9 games, 1 out of 10. Not too bad for CMRDE. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all next time. Have a great weekend.